Two delusional black queens is what Jason Whitlock had to say when he reacted to Joy Reid Jemele Hills' bigoted comments about Caitlin Clark. So I debated on putting this up. I'm not going to give my opinion on this. I do have an opinion on this, and it's quite a strong one. I have an opinion on each one of these people, as a matter of fact. I'm going to tell you what each of these people do, and I'm just going to make it very quick. Jason Whitlock was a sports columnist, he's a podcaster, and he played college football. He has a podcast called Fearless. So Joy Reid, she's a journalist, she's a TV correspondent, she's a political commentator. She has a show called The Read Out. And Jemele Hill, she's a sports journalist. I have Jason Whitlock's podcast. I am going to put it directly after this so you can watch for yourself. I'm going to cut it up because of time. In this video, they talk about quite a few things. After you watch it, leave your comments down below. As always, I'm really curious about what everybody has to say. Also, please go look each one of them up quick, Google them, and take a quick read. Again, I contemplated even bringing this up as a topic. Let me know what you think down below. Go check them out on your own, and let's talk about this. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Leave your comments down below because I'm so curious as what everybody thinks, and we'll talk soon.
What they're doing. They can dress it up any kind of way they want. But they're trying desperately to look like white women. And why do I bring this up? Because when I talk about bigotry over business, the bigotry and the hostility stems from these women hate themselves and hate that they're not white women. Why else would you dress as a white woman? Why else would you put on some cheap wig, some horse's hair over the top of your head to look like a white woman, and you wonder why they did this to Caitlin Clark? I want to start with Joy Reid and Jemele Hill. I want to play this clip of these two black Yaz queens talking about Caitlin Clark. I'm not trying to take a dump on women. I'm trying to explain women, and we just have to have an honest conversation. If we're ever going to come out of this, if we're ever going to recover, we have to have an honest conversation about who's leading this discussion, who's forcing us into their delusion. How did these people get installed? They're not honest, they're not talented, they're not smart, but they've been platformed to lead a conversation and bully us all into a state of delusion. Let's watch these two delusional black queens, Joy Reid and Jemele Hill, SOT number 3.
You know, somebody very smart said to me recently that the challenge with women's basketball is that most of the stars are black, but most of the great players are black, but most of the stars are white, whether it's who's getting awarded by the ESPN, whether who's getting noticed by the magazines. And like you said, if there were charter flights, Brittany Griner would not have ended up in a gulag, right? These ladies are flying commercial and they're not treated as like the men are. How much of this do you think, though, is the marketing potential of a Caitlin Clark?
Can we stop there? I want to pick up where we just left off. This is what Joy Reid just argued that Brittany Griner went to prison in Russia because the WNBA doesn't have charter flights. I think the WNBA has 12 teams that all play here in the United States. So if you have charter flights in the WNBA that's flying around to these 12 teams in the United States, what Russian laws could be broken while here in America traveling on private flights in American cities? How did she get there? How did she reach the conclusion that not having a private flight in America led to Brittany Griner getting arrested in Russia? It's delusion, it's stupidity, it's a lack of logic and reason. Brittany Griner went to prison because she didn't feel like she's earned enough money here in the United States. Let's say she made $200,000 all told playing here in the United States. For most people, that's a good living. And it's a great living if you play in a league that for 27 straight years has never turned a profit. Who in a league that has never turned a profit, in any business that has never turned a profit, who makes 200 some odd thousand or 150, whatever it is, playing in a league that's never turned a profit? Who does that in a business that's never turned a profit? This is why I call them welfare queens. And people don't have to like it, but it's just factual. They're living high on the hog and ungrateful about it, playing in a league that no one watches or cares about. She went to Russia out of greed. She wants to make more money. She went to jail because she had hashish or some form of marijuana. She's traveling abroad, breaking their law, put herself in a vulnerable position, and Russia used her to get what do they call the merchant of death? One of the greatest terrorists in the world. They used Brittany Griner to spring him from an American prison. But somehow, Joy Reid has concluded, oh, this is all a byproduct of American sexism. The fact that Brittany Griner put herself in a vulnerable position and sprung an arms dealer, the merchant of death, sprung him from prison. Yeah, it's America. We're sexist. We're racist. It's our fault. This is lunacy. This is why I'm very reluctant to engage and debate with these feminist American women, these welfare queens. And let's watch Jemele Hill join in the delusion
of a Caitlin Clark, because quite frankly, this is a league that is largely, as you said, largely black women. It's also largely LGBTQ. She's a white heterosexual woman. And so if you're trying to get white dads to go spend their money and buy season tickets, she seems like a marketing opportunity. How much of it is that?
I don't know why people find that to be controversial to think about that. I mean, we know that marketing is about ability, talent, all those things. And nobody's saying that Caitlin Clark doesn't have those things. It's like she's incredibly talented. She's broken record. She's playing a playing style that people love, that is very representative of what we see today, particularly on the men's side. But yes, it helps that she's white, straight in from Iowa, in a league that has faced marketing challenges throughout the history over the last 3 decades that it's been in existence. It's faced marketing challenges because of the things that you mentioned, because 70% of the players are black women, because a third of them identify as LGBTQ+. Yes, it has faced challenges. And by the way, the NBA went through the same thing. You know, before Magic and Bird arrived and took the NBA Finals off tape delay, the NBA was in a very vulnerable spot. It was a black-led league. There were drug problems. There were a lot of issues. And then you fast forward to the 90s and the 2000s, where there was the merge with hip hop, right? That's how you got the dress code, because you had the same issue. You had a predominantly black league that had white fans, or more importantly, white people who wanted to invest in that league. So they had to, quote, clean it up by making the players look a certain way so they could market and appeal to everyone. So when you say that Caitlin Clark's whiteness and the fact that she's straight plays a role, underlined a role in her popularity, that's not a diss to Caitlin Clark. It's just simply America.
This is what I find delusional about what they're talking about. They had a dress code in the NBA and they wanted people to look a certain way so they could invest in the league. Pull your pants up. Take a few of them gold chains off and dress like you're coming to work, not like you're going to a rap concert. Oh, the horror of that. Actually, someone holding you to a standard of appearance. I just want you to look at what Joy Reid and Jemele Hill are doing and tell me they're not conforming to an appearance to make themselves more marketable. Can we just put the pictures back up of them? 2 women could talk about, oh, they want people to look a certain way. And so here's 2 black women dressed as white women to be more marketable on TV. Look at the fake hair that both of these women are wearing. Are they not trying to appear like white women to make themselves more marketable on TV? Who does this? Who puts on these wigs virtually every day to avoid looking black so they can look more white? These are just facts. They're trying desperately to look like white women. And why do I bring this up? Because when I talk about bigotry over business, the bigotry and the hostility stems from. These women hate themselves and hate that they're not white women. Why else would you dress as a white woman? Why else would you put on some cheap wig, some horse's hair over the top of your head to look like a white woman, and you wonder why they did this to Caitlin Clark? They're so filled with jealousy and rage towards white women. Anybody that would hop on TV day after day with these ridiculous wigs on is telling you everything that you need to know about their mentality as it relates to white women. They want to be them badly. They hate the white women that just get to be, that's why they believe in white privilege. Because they're sitting there going, God, they get to be white every day, just roll out of bed. And I have to sit in a beautician's chair and have horse's hair weave through my head to look like them. They have a privilege. This is an untreated mental illness and a rejection of who God made you. Wanting to be boss queens or bad bitches or whatever they call themselves. Yas queens, we're the leaders. We got this. We're going to... No, you don't. You're out of your nature. You're not a leader. You don't make sacrifices for others instinctively. You accept some male leadership and your mentality will change. I'm not trying to be hyper aggressive or polarizing with, I know there's some women out there that's caught in the middle. They just, well, you know, I got to work and Jason doesn't want us to work or Jason blah, blah, blah. I'm just telling you the facts. I don't hate you. I just want you in your right mindset so that the rest of these cowardly men can put their balls back on and stand on their own 2 feet and accept their responsibility of leadership. If you're trying to compete with men as leaders, and I got to admit, you're winning. You got most of these men scared. And we have a society in total chaos. I just had a men's summit. I'm not putting all the blame on you, but you got a lot of leverage right now. You can accuse men of anything and it will be believed. And if men say what they honestly think, they're painted as sexist. They're painted as thugs. Oh my God, he's outside the bounds of decent society. He can't work here. He can't do this. He can't do that. He's an evangelical, racist, bigot, homophobe. No, he's just a man trying to obey God. Let the man live. Let that man breathe. Take that weave up out your hair. Get comfortable with who God made you. Real comfortable. And let men lead. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. And if you find one that's not a leader, avoid him at all costs. He's closeted. He's irresponsible. He's sexually promiscuous. He has no discipline. None.